Kyle Madsen, a noted A's fan, has just 15 minutes ago gone to social media and accurately gathered the life cycle of a Giants fan. I saw this, and I immediately went, yes, thank you. Thank you, Kyle.
Yes.
Ready
and
for
the
it?
tweet counts.
This is the life cycle for a Giants fan. Hope for future big splash move. Certainty of a big splash move. Then no such move happens. Anger at no big splash move. Actually, maybe it's okay there was no big splash move. Actually, this is good right now that there was no big splash move. Circling back to where we started, hope for future big splash move.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's like the 5 stages of grief from Kubler-Ross, where you cycle through and you wind up back at the same spot, and eventually there's more grief and you do it again. So where are you now in this cycle? Are you at actually this is good for now?
Well,
or are you now hoping for the big splash move, which is Shohei Ohtani?
I was bothered by Judge and Correa. I wasn't really that bothered by yesterday. I wanted to move, but I wanted to move just because I wanted to move. There was not a guy where I'm like, we got to have that guy. There are a couple guys I'm like, Erod, that would have been nice. Tim Anderson, I was intrigued by that. Neither of them got moved. But I didn't see anybody else get someone where I was like, oh my gosh, we should have had that guy. Why didn't you give up XYZ for that guy? I'm totally underwhelmed by what the Dodgers did. They did, like everybody, but the Padres and the Diamondbacks all did stuff. Yeah, you haven't even heard of these people. You've heard of Tommy Pham because he slapped Jock Peterson. But other than that, no big deal. So I wasn't bothered by that. But you asked me where I am on the cycle. Yeah, I'm right back at hope for future big splash move.
Yeah.
But it's a very specific one now. I have moved off the, any splash move.
Sure.
No, Shohei.
Right.
Shohei. Other than that, their splashes have always been on the way inside the building. Their splashes need to be one of, two of, or three of the guys who are already in the system. And I find this year, the most splashy thing that has happened to the San Francisco Giants is Patrick Bailey.
No doubt.
By far.
In terms of new additions, shout out Rod, Bobby Brown and all the rest of them.
Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky and Mike.
Yeah.
If I love the girl, who cares who you like? Anyway,
that's
go
new
ahead.
addition, and you would have to throw in Johnny Gill as well to get the full new addition. But I digest, as we like to say. Outside of Patrick Bailey, I don't know if you could say any of them have been full splashes.
Not splashes.
Casey Schmidt has been...
That was a splash, followed by Marco Polo exit the pool.
Fish out of water?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you the old Marco Polo game. And
Matos has been nice.
Sure.
Luciano, we've only seen for a hot second.
Right. Now they had to send him back out because that's what Farhan does. Oh, you got options? We're going to keep Diaz up here because he can play second base and Luciano can't yet.
Diaz will be, I'm sure, will be gone as soon as Tyro's back. I'm sure.
Which will be Saturday or
tomorrow or Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow or in the near future.
Yeah.
So it just, other than the Patrick Bailey splash, I mean, Blake Sable's been more of a splash than Casey Schmidt, I think.
Oh, absolutely. He's been, a staple of the rotation for the whole year.
Yeah.
And has to be because you lose him if he's not, right? So he can't get sent out. That's part of it. He's also your catching depth. But yeah, I look at this whole thing with regard to the trade deadline, and I'm not feeling any jealousy. I'm not feeling any jealousy. I'm bummed because not only do you just want to feel a part of the whole thing, as a baseball fan and as a radio host, you want stuff. You want stuff to happen. But once the whole thing was over, I'm like, not a lot of stuff happened. Even where stuff happened, I'm like, that's not stuff. That needle movers is what I'm talking about. I saw very, very few needle movers throughout the entire sport.
Okay, I mean, you can look at teams that maybe got incrementally better in fashion. The Dodgers definitely needed a starter, and they got one, and the Padres turned over about a third of their roster, and will it work out, and will it help them? Maybe. The Angels promptly lost their first game since they had some new additions to their team, which is good news for the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes in the offseason, as they sit 6 games out in the division, and they're fading out of the card now. They are they're 3.5 out of the card.
They still have a decent record. They're 50,
they do.
Yeah, 56 and 53.
Tied with Seattle, though, in the wild card, and tied with the Yankees. They have a lot of teams that they're going to have to be better than to get in there.
Well, they're a fourth-place club, and the Yankees are a fifth-place club. So, yeah, they're not dancing where they need to be dancing right now, but they're within shouting distance. And I agree with the statement that you made yesterday that only for them was this a good deadline. However, if anybody else had made the same trades, I'd have said they're stupid. But the Angels, they've only got one avenue right now, which is let's try to win. But the larger point of trying to win is let's show Shohei that we can win. So I understand the whole all-in nature for them. I wouldn't suggest it for anybody else, though.
Right. I mean, I might suggest it for the Padres because they're in a situation where this thing may break apart in some way in the offseason if they don't make the playoffs this year. Last year they made the playoffs, went on a decent run, but didn't get to where they need to get to. And the amount of money they have in their payroll, for them to not make the playoffs, that would be, I think, a calamity for this offseason.
They still scare me, by the way. If they win tonight, they're back to 500. Mm-hmm. And we've all talked about their metrics all year. Their run differential, things going on with them would suggest that they should be a much better baseball team. But I would argue back. This is part of where, like the Fangraphs world, I would disagree with it. When you say, look at our run differential, we should win. I think it lacks context. There's a reason the Padres have lost the majority of their close games. There's a reason the Padres have lost all of their extra inning games. Isn't that the stat? They're like
0-10.
0-11. I think they had another one.
They had another one?
And they lost it. There's a reason.
They lost it.
There's a reason they've lost them all. Their bullpen is not good. Yeah,
0-10.
Okay, still 0-10.
Yeah, that made them. Yeah,
that made them 0-10.
And getaway day for them today in Colorado. They've already won 11-1 today.
Okay, all right, and there you go. And that's how you get your run differential all Fangraphsed out. You win 11-1, then you lose the next day 2-1. You've got a bad bullpen, and you go look at our fancy run differential, but you're 1-1, and that's exactly how their entire season has gone. And that's why they're up to 54 and 55 with their win today. And they've won a couple in a row. But their bullpen is not that's not going to last. That doesn't work. The Giants have a bullpen. So if things get a little hot or if they get more timely or they just get healthy, I mean, I know people don't want to hear it because it's not exciting, but Thairo Estrada, Haniger, if Harrison comes up and pitches well, I mean, to me, that's needle moving. That changes your team if that stuff all plays out that way.
Yeah, if it plays out to where they come back and they play like they have, if Thairo Estrada comes back and hits like he did in April, well, there's your trade deadline acquisition. And if Kyle Harrison comes up and pitches to his promise, even if it's only 4 innings at a time, there is another great trade deadline acquisition. I absolutely agree with you. And if Haniger can come back whenever that is, when he's able to get the rods out of his arm and be able to be a power threat, there's another acquisition. But I'm not completely sold on their ability to have all those guys do well and lean on the young players to carry them over the hump when you get to October.
I think that's a fair statement when we were talking more of the broad conversation of all 3 teams. I'm not sold on anything.
Yeah.
I'm not sold that Brock Purdy's the future. I'm not sold that Chris Paul's going to work out, and I'm not sold that this is sustainable for the Giants. I don't think, though, that you need to be sold. I don't want to buy something. I want to experience it, and I want to be impressed. And that's another one of the weird lanes that I find for the Giants. The criticism of them is actually a compliment. I wonder how many people notice that. As the Giants sit here at 59 and 49, and people go, but they don't have a good roster. Well, isn't that a compliment? if they don't have a good roster and they win 107, and then they don't have a good roster and they just go 81 and 81, and then they again don't have a good roster and they go 59 and 49, aren't you saying to the manager and the staff, dude, you're getting more out of this orange than we thought was in there?
Yeah.
And so,
well, credit would have to go somewhere.
Somewhere.
If you have 107, then 81, and if this year ends with 88 or wherever it ends up above 500, it looks like it's trending in that direction. If you're going to disparage the roster, then you have to credit either the coaching staff or you have to credit the players for performing better than you thought they would. And at that point, credit has to go somewhere, because in baseball, one of my favorite parts about the sport is the fact that 162 games is a real sample size. So 107 wins, there's nothing fluky about winning 107 of 162 games. Now, if you do that once, then maybe your roster overall is not as good as people thought, but 107 wins over a 6-month period, that's a real sample.
Yep. Did you know that right now where they're sitting is exactly the 2/3 mark of the year?
Yeah, they got 54 to go.
54 to go. 108 in the books. 54 to go. So the quick math on that, if you take that number 59, extrapolate that out again over another third of the season.
Yeah. 89 wins.
I don't know if it's going to go that way because the schedule gets harder, but where they sit right now, that's headed for a playoff finish.
Yes, 89 wins. 89 wins probably wins the wild card or is damn near to winning the wild card. The Padres are on the come. They are, I think, 19-6 in their last 25. Even though their bullpen has been shaky, they're a team that's been playing great baseball, better baseball, certainly.
Has it been that good?
Maybe 16-9.
19 out of their last 25. I feel like they would be way over 500 if that were the case.
I had them here at, they were 8 games below at 38-46. 16-9. I had it dyslexic. They're 16-9 over the last 25.
Okay. I was going to say, because they're 11-3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think they're 11-9 since the break, since the All-Star break.
Yeah, when they were 8 games below, they won 6 of 7.
Yeah. I'm sorry, 11-8. 11-8 since the All-Star break.
They went into the break winning 5 of 6. And so after that, that makes sense.
No, I like that. You have your eye on them the entire time, for sure.